Hey everybody. So, you can't see much of me, but I'm all decked out in winter gear. I'm, decided to take a walk, and it's only 4 inches of snow, and I'm sure you people that are further up north are like, that's baby stuff, but to me, it's cold. But I got a nice hot cup of coffee, nice warm jacket, and a fairly warm hat. But I forgot gloves. I didn't really forget them. I can't operate the camera and all that with, thick gloves on, so I figured I'll just man up. It's fine. So, I thought about this, and I figured I want to shoot like a precaution and disclaimer video, alright? A lot of people that do this here foundry work and the stupid, dangerous stuff I do, they do videos and they throw out there that, I'm not responsible, yada yada yada. I don't get why anyone says that, because obviously I'm not responsible. They show far worse things on television than, what I do. So, I mean, if you're gonna reenact something, I'd rather reenact driving a car over a bridge than, melting metals. But that's just me. But after my attorney contacted me, he said, you should probably do a disclaimer video. And I'm like, alright. So, I'm not, what I do shouldn't be repeated. And definitely don't do it as I do it. Like, the way I describe it is safer than the way I do things. I don't always wear goggles, I don't always wear gloves. And you should. And it's better gloves than what I got. Probably better goggles, too. See, what you gotta understand is, with a foundry, you're temperatures of over 1,000 degrees. Like, that's not a normal campfire. That's not you sitting around a campfire, making s'mores. That's big time heat. And it's far more dangerous. And right now, I mean, I'm using thin welder's gloves and, like $2 safety glasses. It's not the safest idea, especially in my situation, but I find something I want to do that doesn't hurt anybody, except possibly me, but it doesn't really matter because it's me. So, I do it. But I'm not responsible. I'll always be safe. If you're gonna use an angle grinder, don't make your own parts for it. Like, I have a video of making my own handle. It works, and it's great, and I love it. But, it's always better to have the regulated equipment. Like, it's always better to have the part that goes to it, because you never know what can happen. An angle grinder's nothing to mess with. I'm not sure the RPMs, but it's pretty up there. And if you're gonna play with over 1,000 degree, temperatures, you might want to get, jeans, thick jeans, maybe 2 pairs of jeans, steel-toed boots, probably welder's gloves, and some better safety, like maybe a whole face shield. But, I don't have the money or the patience to keep putting all that on every time I go to do something, so I don't do it. And proper crucible tools is another thing. Like, pulling things out of, getting your hand 10 inches away from the fire and pulling things out with pliers is probably a bad idea. Now, to me, all this is completely safe because I am relatively careful. I don't do this stuff under the influence, under heavy influence. Like, I may have a drink of some homemade wine or something, but I'm not sitting there doing shots of tequila or drinking a 6-pack. I keep a level head. I take my time doing things. And like anything I do, I know I can't hurt myself too bad. Except the angle grinder. The angle grinder scares me sometimes. You might laugh and be like, ooh, scared of an angle grinder. Yeah, I know. But I'm not saying I'm scared of power tools. I'm just saying they have potential to do damage, like real damage to the human body. So I try to be careful about it. Man, my hands are getting cold. See? Wear gloves if you're going to be out in the middle of nowhere. Rule 2. So now that I got that out of the way, and I think I pretty much covered that whole topic, I want to talk about some other things. My crucible failed. Now, I want to talk about different types of crucibles. I was looking at I started to look up 17th century bronze casting age crucibles. I wanted to know what they did back in those times to cast their molten metal into swords. Because, you need a pretty big container to get enough metal for a sword. So I was looking that up. I didn't get a whole lot of information on that yet, but it looks pretty primitive and it's probably a one-time use. So there's that. Now, the other thing is the type of crucible you use. A graphite crucible that's decent size runs like 20 bucks. I don't have 20 bucks to just throw away. I mean, I just don't. So, if I'm going to save up money for something, it's going to be, I want a GoPro. Because then I could do all kinds of stuff and not have to hold a camera in my hand. I could just strap it to me somewhere or strap it to a tree and, run down over that hill. Which would actually be really kind of fun. Actually, I wish I still had my snowboard. But I'm getting off topic. Alright. So, I use a fire extinguisher. Now, I'm going to try to string this together like it's all one big thing. But it's really just a chunk, all kinds of chunks of information that I'm, just spewing out and trying to make it sound elegant. I'm trying to pontificate elegantly. But it doesn't work that great for me all the time. So, I use the fire extinguisher. This fire extinguisher, I used it the first time. It kept its thickness. It did a good job. It melted the aluminum. It was fine. I mean, stuff got stuck in the bottom of it, but that wasn't the crucible's fault. It had nothing to do with that. It was operator error or something to do with the metal. It doesn't matter the cause. The cause got corrected. But now the crucible, it failed on me. And if I had a graphite crucible, that wouldn't have happened. But the fire extinguisher, it failed in 2 tries. And I was like, that shouldn't have happened, not with aluminum. But when I was heating the coal, I couldn't get it to burn. Like, I tried a lot of different things. Lots of cardboard, pieces of wood. I had a roaring fire going, but the charcoal just wouldn't go. I don't know if it was waterlogged or what was wrong with it, but it took some effort to get it lit. And by that point, when I finally got it that it started to burn, I didn't want to take the risk of it going out, and I was a little bit on the upset side, so I just cranked it to full blast and let it sit for a while and didn't really pay much attention to it. And it got like white hot. Like you couldn't look inside without it like kind of hurting your eyes a little bit. So I kind of just I definitely overcooked the crucible, but considering the crucible was only used one time previously, that it was pretty much at full thickness, which means I may not have melted steel, because that takes temperatures up towards 2,500 to 3,000 degrees if I'm correct. Correct me if I'm wrong. It takes about 700 more degrees than copper to melt steel, and that's a significant leap. So in 2 tries, I melted through, a steel crucible, which to me tells me I can go through. I can melt copper, and I could probably do cast iron. But then I did some more thinking, and I thought about the type of coal I was using. So you got charcoal briquettes, which is hardwood coal dust, packed into briquettes using some sort of adhesive or something, or some way of doing it. I know you can do it yourself, and there's some sort of science behind it, but that's besides the point. They have a chemical in it. This is what I was told. They have a chemical in it that is that keeps it from burning at a higher temperature. Hang on, I gotta switch hands. This one's getting cold. It keeps the charcoal from burning at a higher temperature, so it doesn't, destroy your food or anything along those lines. So it can only get so hot. Yeah, it can melt aluminum, but I've seen a lot of people had a really rough time melting copper with it. So I don't use those. If I'm going to go for it, I'm going to go for it. So the next type of charcoal you can get is hardwood lump charcoal. Now that stuff, it can go up to 3,000 degrees in the optimal oxygen. If it has the most efficient oxygen, it can go up to like 3,000 degrees, which is more than adequate to melt anything or destroy anything you want to melt. Like, it'll do the job. Now, what I used was home heating coal, anthracite, hard lump coal, and that stuff also goes to 3,000, 3,500 degrees. So when I left it alone for that amount of time, I'm not saying so much that it melted the steel. It more or less, if you ever watch anyone forge a knife, and they let it in the coal fire too long, and they say it burnt the steel and it ruined it, so it burned a hole in it. That's what happened. It burned a hole in it. So, if I made any suggestions, I would say, if you're low on cash, and you're only doing aluminum, charcoal briquettes, and something stainless steel or a fire extinguisher. Now, if you're trying to do brass and copper, you're going to use hardwood lump charcoal, and you're going to be careful with it, like real careful with the temperature. Or you're going to want to use you're going to want to use a graphite crucible. So if you're in that, whatever mindset you're in, house heating coal, that stuff gets really freaking hot. So I would suggest, if you're going to use that a lot and you're going to ramp it up to melt copper, you should probably get a graphite crucible if you're going to do it enough. But once again, if you don't have the money, stick with what you got, and hopefully all will work out. I mean, more than likely, as long as you keep an eye on it, a fire extinguisher should last 3 or 4 times, even doing copper. Like, I've seen other people do it. Alright guys, hang on a second. Da 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 da! My Christmas tree. Steel decorated mostly-ish. Wonder how long it'll be like that. I'm glad to see no one messed with it though. I come back to check on it every once in a while. I don't know why I even like it so much. I don't even celebrate Christmas. But I'm off topic again. So now that we covered crucibles and charcoal, for the most part, if you have any questions, please ask, because I've done a ton of research, but I only have so much hands-on experience. But I've done a ton of research. So, any questions, feel free to comment. Check my Facebook page. I have it linked in the description. I'll be more than happy to do whatever I can. But now let's talk about the foundry. So my dream foundry, my plan for a foundry, was I wanted to use the sanded plaster with steel wool mix, and same for the lid, just like I did, because it does a pretty good job. Like, that fire last time I melted was really freaking hot, and I got a little bit of a crack forming in the lid. But with as hot as that is, I thought the lid would have broken half. Like, I thought it would have shattered. But it held up very well. So I would keep that mix unless you have the money to throw away on, really, really good stuff. And, I'd do that. And a vessel to put them in, because that is a much better route and it'll last it'll last a much longer time. So, I mean, you could check into that, but I like the mix I did. But now, the thing that I'm upset about, that I extremely liked, like the design plan, was I really wanted to make mine out of a propane tank. Like, I liked the lid on the propane tank. I liked everything about the propane tank. The size, the lid, the thickness of the metal. Like, I just thought a propane tank would be amazing. And, oh, man, it's colder than I thought. And, well, that didn't work out. I found the steel bucket first, used the steel bucket. I'm happy with it. It's not exactly what I wanted it to be, but you can't have everything you want, right? I came back here there's that copper thing. It's frozen to the ground. Now, I brought tin stiffs with me, but I don't think that's going to work. I mostly came back here to think about a way to do that, but I didn't bring gloves. My hands are already cold, so I don't think I'm going to touch that. I think I'm going to wait till I can build a fire, light it on fire, let it burn for a couple of hours, and see what I can do with it. Because once I get this copper out of here, I'm taking a bunch of scrap in, and it'll give me another $10-15 to play around with. I'm working on some sort of employment that actually gives me some sort of monetary value, but nobody, for some reason, my name got dragged through the mud so freaking bad, I can't find work to save my life. And even if I do find work, something happened that I'm just not, I don't know. That's a whole other story, a whole other video that you guys won't even care about because it's a little too much personal drama that I'm not interested in talking about anyway, because you can't help and no one can help. No, I'm stuck in this situation until further notice. So it is what it is. So where was I at? My main thought process when it came to the foundry was the steel pipe I found out here as the air blowing pipe, a propane tank for foundry, same mix. I was gonna use equal parts plaster of Paris and sand. I was gonna line it with some steel wool, do the same with the lid, and that was gonna be the whole thing. I was gonna make a charcoal forge out of that, or foundry out of that. Well, foundry / forge. I mean, I have considered forging a knife in that. I can do it. Even if I decided to melt aluminum again and forge the knife while it was heating up the aluminum, I could do that because it gets hot enough. I think the optimal temperature for malleability in steel is 18 to 2,000 degrees, 18 to 2,200. Yeah, 2,200 if you wanted to really, be able to move some metal. 1,800 if you don't care if you got to heat it up 1,000 times. I don't know. I might just be making that up. It sounds right. Like I said, I did a lot of research, but I got the memory of a goldfish. So that's another story too. So that's pretty much the idea. I mean, if you're gonna do a foundry and you're gonna use the cheapest method, I say hardwood lump charcoal with a hair dryer for the blower, and I'd keep the hair dryer on low, and I would get a couple propane tanks or fire extinguisher, cut them in half, the little ones, and use them as crucibles, and use the King of Random method, because you're talking $8 if you do it right. Maybe 12. I don't know. I didn't completely do the math, but if you get the propane container, and you get his mix, and even if you spend $1 on the steel wool, you can make the whole entire setup for, well, depending on how you get your hair dryer. I mean, some people are luckier than others. I got mine for $10, because I didn't go to a thrift store, because the one I got from a thrift store just exploded. Altogether, I say I probably spent collectively $50 for the entire setup. That includes the different tools I got along the way, like a hacksaw and stuff. Altogether for the entire everything I bought for this endeavor was probably $50, maybe $60. And that was over the course of 3 or 4 months. So it's really nothing to do this. If I can do it, you guys can do it. But I cannot be held responsible. I'm sorry. Like, I would love to take responsibility for you guys blowing your hands off and getting third-degree burns and having to draw on your eyebrows, but I can't do that. I mean, I just, that's kind of cool. Check this out. You see the tracks? They go up, up, and up over that ridge. Like, I've been seeing a red fox back here more often, and I wonder if it's him. Him or her, whatever it might be. I kind of miss my old pets. Maybe I'll try to find where that red fox is chilling out and see if I can snag one of its pups. And get a snapping turtle again. I used to have a baby snapper. That's upsetting. Oh well. Life happens, right? Well, that pretty much sums up the video. Pretty much sums up the whole idea of what I'm trying to get across here. Don't be stupid. Don't be stupid. Wear protection. Don't hold me responsible for any antics. Because don't try this at home. Even though you probably should, it's cheap and fun, but you can't hold me responsible for that because, you know, I have a disclaimer video now. I'm telling you, you can't. So